Have you ever noticed there's one piece of marketing advice that everyone keeps repeating?
Storytelling is a powerful tool to leverage storytelling
to sell more. Sounds brilliant until you actually try to use it on your landing page. Suddenly you're wondering, tell a story about what? My company history? A customer case study? The confusion is real and it's costing you conversions. But after helping hundreds of service businesses fix this exact problem, I've cracked the code on what storytelling actually means in this context. And it's probably not what you think. When you do it right, storytelling can improve your landing page conversion rate by up to 300%. But when done wrong, it can actually push potential clients away. In this video, I'm going to show you the science behind why storytelling sells 3 times better than traditional marketing approaches, the 3 proven storytelling frameworks that work specifically for service business landing pages, and exactly how to implement them with real examples so you can transform your website from confusing to converting overnight. But before we get there, we need to understand why stories work better than traditional marketing on landing pages. So to really make this come alive, I want to show you 2 ways that I could tell you about my web design service. First, the traditional way. We offer professional web design with responsive layouts, SEO optimization, and conversion-focused elements. Our team has 10 years of experience, and we've served over 200 clients. Now, the storytelling way. You've spent thousands on a website that looks great, but it's gotten you exactly 0 leads so far. Each morning, you check your inbox hoping for inquiries, only to find spam and newsletters. Meanwhile, competitors with uglier websites somehow attract clients effortlessly. Which approach made you feel something? The science shows that when information makes us feel, our brains release chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin, the same chemicals released during important life experiences. This chemical cocktail doesn't just make us pay attention, it literally helps us remember and trust the message more. This is why storytelling in your landing page isn't just creative fluff. It's a neurological strategy for connection. I sat down with Talia Wolf, the CEO at Get Uplift, a conversion optimization agency that specializes in storytelling, to get her take on what makes stories so powerful. Turns out, even she didn't get it right away.
When we first got started with conversion optimization, what we were trying to do is basically change elements on the page. So we try changing a call to action button or a headline or reducing a form field, because those were the best practices. That's what everyone was telling you to do. If you want to increase conversions, do this one thing. Here's one hack. But it never worked. And even when it did, it didn't really generate the results that we needed for our clients. What I uncovered, which is, a lot of psychologists and neuroscientists have proven, years and years and years now, is that every decision that we make in life is based on emotion. There's always emotion involved. In fact, without emotion, we can't make any decision.
And what kind of emotions are we really talking about here?
There are 2 very common emotions that keep repeating themselves in purchasing decisions. One is self-image and the other is social image. Self-image is how people want to feel about themselves after using your solution, and social image is the emotional trigger of how people want others to perceive them after using your solution.
And telling the right kind of story on your page can really play into those. But let's clear up the confusion by first talking about what storytelling on landing pages is not. It's not telling a third-person narrative like, meet Sally, who struggled with bookkeeping until she found our service. If you were to do that, it would probably just come across as cheesy and possibly even childish. It is also not your company origin story. Most visitors don't really care about how you started your business or your journey to success. Harsh but true. It's not a creative writing exercise that belongs in a novel, and most importantly, it's not talking about yourself the whole time. So this is the biggest mistake that I see service businesses make on their landing pages, basically turning them into autobiographies instead of focusing on the customer.
What keeps us on a page and what grabs our attention is when we make our story about them. If you are going to be generic and you're going to talk about the service that you provide, your pricing, the features, and you talk about yourself, that is not going to grab anyone's attention.
So what is effective storytelling on a landing page? Turns out it's surprisingly simple.
Storytelling is the art of making it about the customer. It's essentially saying that I know you, my prospect, I understand what you're going through, and here's what I can see that you're going through, and actually proving it and saying, I know you feel this, I know you've tried that, here's why it's never worked for you, and here's what will work for you.
The key is that it's almost always done using the second person, you, to really put them in the story. It's about transformation, showing the path from where they are to where they want to be. But here's the thing, it's not enough to just tell people about the transformation. You need to zoom in on specific moments that make it feel real. Like, let's say you're a personal trainer writing your landing page. You could just say something like, I get it, you're trying to get fit, but it's hard to do on your own. Hire me instead. Or you could say,
you know how every single year you set new goals for the next year. And you start out in January and you're really excited about them and you get going and you're reading those books or you're going to the gym, and come February, you go a little less. And come March, you're already not going. And in April, you've forgotten and you're still paying for that membership. That's the difference between just saying, you need to go to the gym, or here's how to set goals, versus actually telling a story where you're portraying their life story. You're showing them on a page.
The truth is, there are many different ways you can use storytelling in your landing pages, but there happen to be 3 that I've found to work better than the others that really play into those emotions that drive sales decisions. So I'll let Talia tell you about the first.
You can use PAS, like pain agitation solution, like the number one template. Everyone uses it. It's so basic, but so good because you start with the pain. You start by talking about, here's what you're going through. Right? Here's the pain that you're experiencing.
A great example of this is on Zen Founder's website. So they have these 3 distinct sections, starting with the problem that entrepreneurs face. It does this by just asking a simple question that their clients would likely say yes to. Have you lost touch with what's most important? But
it's not enough just to name the pain, you then need to agitate it. That's the A in PAS. Talking about how it affects their lives, why they need to change it.
This next section does exactly that by listing out all the little symptoms of that main problem, like feeling tired, foggy about who you are, carrying around resentment. It's agitating the pain, yes, but you do this to show that you get them and what they're going through, not just to make them feel worse or to be a fearmonger. Then the very next section provides the S in our equation. This is where Dr. Sherry reveals herself and her unique qualification as the world's only clinical psychologist focused on the mental health of entrepreneurs as the solution to the problem. This is such a simple 3-part formula, but it's incredibly effective. The second framework is the before to after bridge. So this shows the contrast between life before and after your solution. Now to do this, you just paint a picture of their current situation, then introduce you and your business or offer as the bridge that gets them to their happily ever after. A really great example of this approach is on teamwork.com. It's a project management platform. In this one tight section, they state the before, the bridge, then the after. So this framework works great because it directly addresses what people want, transformation. And the person responsible for this website is actually Talia herself. So when you redid Teamwork's website and you implemented this story structure throughout it, what kind of results did that get?
We increased their signups by 54%. We 7 times their homepage conversion rates, and we also got a 170% increase in signups on some of their landing pages. It was really interesting to see just because ultimately it was mostly messaging.
So that brings us to our third storytelling method, my personal favorite, the hero's journey. This is a more long-form story framing device you'd use on your whole page with each section representing a different stage in the journey. Now this framework highlights your customer as the hero. It shows their current struggle, how they set out to solve it, and the transformation that happens when they work with you. It's a proven way to make your service feel like a really guided path from failure to success. If you've heard of StoryBrand, this is really the inspiration behind that. So this landing page for newborn care service Petite Crew is a perfect example of the hero's journey framework in action. So let's go through each stage of the hero's journey and see how it's put into practice on a real business's website. Starting with step 1, set the stage. Now this is where you lay out the foundation of your customer's current world. What's their everyday situation look like right now before they find your service. Petite Crew's website starts with, welcoming a new baby is all the things, magical, awe-inspiring, exhausting. They paint the picture of sleep-deprived parents who really want to enjoy their newborn, but are too tired to be fully in the moment. Then comes stage 2, call to adventure. This is where you want to introduce the challenge or pain point that's pushing them to look for help. Petite Crew simply says, it's hard to bond when you're sleep deprived. That highlights the core problem that needs solving here. Stage 3, meeting the mentor. So this is where your service steps in and you position your business as the expert guide or mentor figure who helps them get what they want. Petite Crew has this covered in a whole standalone section where they talk about how they not only get what you're going through, but they have the experience to get you through it. They also explain their really rigorous screening that eliminates 96% of applicants. They position themselves as the connectors to expert help. Next, we have stage 4, overcoming obstacles, AKA the journey. So this is where you want to lay out exactly what working with you will look like. Now, Petite Crew shows a clear 3-step process: consultation, meeting candidates, and hiring the perfect match. And then finally, we have stage 5, return with the elixir, AKA the transformation. So this is just where you show the positive outcome of working with you. And they end with, newborns are amazing. You ought to be able to cherish the season without missing a beat. And they've done something really smart here, which is use customer stories and testimonials to do some of that heavy lifting for them.
Businesses forget that actually social proof is one of the most important tools you can have and the biggest selling points you can have. And it's very big with storytelling because it's so much more powerful when someone else is saying it than yourself. So actually having someone say, you know, before I contacted this person, I was really worried this was going to be a 7-month process and it would take me ages to see results. I couldn't believe it. Within 3 days, I already felt better, seeing the results on myself and my confidence. That's a big, big difference between you saying it and them saying it.
But if you want to actually create a landing page that gets results, you're going to need a start to finish plan. So in this video, I've got the 7 steps you need to take to create $1 million landing page that's proven to convert at 3 times the average. So click right here, and I'm going to show you all 7 steps so you can do it right the first time. Meet you right over here in a second.